Wow, a lot of you really don't like the McLaren Chrome Edition one-off livery this year. I was really surprised by it because I really like it. I rate it really highly, but the media backlash is just... wow. And people even stating that the papaya should be eliminated entirely, saying, oh, Zach Brown's trying to install his own colours and trying to be like Ferrari. It's not part of their history. But it is part of their history. It was on the first ever car that McLaren entered with Bruce McLaren driving it. But that got me thinking, what are the worst one-off liveries in the entire history of Formula One? And we're going to be starting off with a McLaren from 1986. The Marlboro Light Edition. Basically, this livery was to promote the lighter brand of that specific product. And to me, it completely ruins the entire motif that has become iconic throughout the entire history of the sport. Red and white is like, yeah, I'm really, really strong. And the yellow and white one is just like, oh, I'm a little bit lady. Really, really not good in terms of actually promoting a brand. And also, it didn't do well in that race either because Keke Rosberg retired. So, oh. Oops. Now we're going back to 1977 with the McGuire BM1. I can sense that you are confusedly blinking. Did that race? But it counts, it entered one race, so it counts as a one-off livery. It was a team created by Brian McGuire, and it ran a car that was borrowed from Frank Williams, the FW04, and repainted in different colours. In this case, black, red, and yellow. If you look at it from the side, okay, that little red and yellow stripe on the black looks really smart, but when you turn around to face the front, oh man! There's a lot going on here, there's a lot to unpack. But we never actually got to see this livery race in anger because it didn't just not qualify, it didn't even pre-qualify. And I'll talk about pre-qualifying another time, but if you can't pre-qualify, that ain't good. The red and yellow stripe from the side that meets up in the middle, yeah, that's fine. But then you've got the additional stripes at the side, which kind of make things really, really busy. It just needed to have a little less going on here to actually make a pretty decent livery. Other than that, it just got really overcomplicated. And when I saw that from the front the first time, I'm just like, oh, okay, calm down, mate. Now we're going to 2004, the Jaguar R5 Oceans 12 livery. I hate this with a passion, mainly for the fact that it didn't even try. Red Bull actually came up with some cute Star Wars and Superman themed liveries, which were actually good. And in 2006, they even got to wear capes. DC wearing a cape. Wow, he'd actually be good as Superman, wouldn't he? But for 2004, no. It was to tie in with the movie Ocean's 12, and all that we got was a red nose cone and a red airbox with the movie logo on it. Okay. But the main kicker out of all of this is, of course, as you may know, that diamond that was on the front of the nose cone, worth about $300,000. Yeah, I don't really need to say much more about it. It went into the hairpin, they recovered the nose cone, and would you look at that, the diamond was gone. Oh no, a precious diamond disappeared in Monaco, where there are tons of diamonds and trinkets and stuff like that, where anyone could just, pocket it and then just run away. Yeah, but what it stood for and the lack of effort, it's definitely near the top of my worst one-off liveries. We're going back to Red Bull, but this time, the 2005 testing livery. Yes, before you say anything and get your pitchforks out, I understand it was meant to be a rush job because they had just purchased Jaguar, were now transforming into Red Bull, they had to quickly repaint those Jaguar R5s, and they had to think of something like, let's just do what we do for the can. Yes, that blue and grey sort of square check motif does work very well on cans and on helmets because they use that a lot, but in terms of the big car, it just reeks of nothingness. It was bland. It just didn't really suit it because if they had run that livery for the entire 2005 season, it would have looked very amateurish. And I'm pretty sure that Red Bull would have wanted to have a good statement of intent, to have a livery that was forward-thinking, with a lineup with David Coulthard and Christian Klein, to have something that was hopeful for the future. There wouldn't have really been room for any extra sponsors either, except on the nose cone, because anywhere else, it would have clashed badly with the actual big scheme that they had, because this was back in the day when sponsors were a lot more insistent on keeping their original logos and colours. Thankfully they changed it for the main season. Back to McLaren again, the 2014 testing livery, and my god, this reeks of desperation. They had just abandoned the red and chrome motif that they'd had from 2006 to 2013, when they had sponsors. Now, they were really lacking sponsors. Their one-off livery they had for Australia, they just had Mobile 1 plastered all over the place. Oh, no, sorry, just gotta remember the Toon song. Mobile One. Go look it up on YouTube, seriously. It's bad. And the fact that it lacked so many sponsors after the last couple of years when they had a good amount of sponsors started the joke of McLaren desperately trying to find a title sponsor. For many years they were saying, oh, we're talking with sponsors to become title sponsors, but they never did. Of course, Chrome does look very nice on the McLaren, but it needs something else to back it up. The red worked very well. This Chrome edition for 2023, the Papaya, works very well. It's complementing it, but on its own, no. It couldn't even hide behind the moniker of the Silver Arrow anymore, which McLaren had for the 90s and 2000s, because Mercedes were there. The W05 rocking the silver, black and teal very, very nicely. Very, very smart. But this livery, to me, the testing one, just reminds me of a celebrity who has become very irrelevant and is desperately clinging on to its legacy by going, hey, look at me, I'm adapting! But when we actually get to the season itself, it does add some black on the side pods, thankfully. Now, this one might be a little bit of a hot button topic, but I didn't like the SF1000 livery from 2020 for the Mugello Grand Prix. I didn't like it at all. The base idea, though, was really, really good, and it did hark back to the history of Ferrari, going back to the 125S, where it actually had that same shade of burgundy. That was very, very good. I can totally respect that. And I just felt like my main grievance with this was that it completely missed the mark. There were loads of opportunities that the 2019 Mercedes had with all of its heritage logos from back in the day, complementing the white paint that it had that was stripped back from the silver. This, though, was just half-baked, really, because you had the burgundy shade, but then you just had this glaring modern 1000 put on the airbox where it's just standing out entirely. So you got this really nice, sophisticated colour that would be very, very fitting for a nice, swanky Italian museum. You're just wandering around and just taking in the scenes and going, oh yes, I see, yeah, Ferrari scene. Then this is Bozo on the side going, oh, I'm flashy! I'm 1,000 races old! That would put you off entirely. And then to top it all off, all of the logos that you see, most of them are not even the heritage logos. It would have been really cool to see just older designs of the UPS logo, the Shell logo from the 1960s or the 1950s. And to have that modern 1000 font on top of a classic colour of burgundy? No. It really did not sit well with me. Missed opportunity. Sebastian Vettel's helmet, much better tribute. We're going with the 1997 Lola. I know this was intended to be run for the entire season, but Lola didn't get that far thanks to MasterCard being a tyrannical title sponsor, which nuked them at the first opportunity when it was clear that they weren't going to actually go anywhere. But that was their own fault. They rushed the team a year early, and what did they expect? The main issue I have with the livery itself is because it's just a hodgepodge of various things on a very bulky and ungainly car design itself. The glitch design of the orange that goes with blue and red, that would have been okay if you didn't have the blue there and it was just white, but I understand why the blue was there, because blue was part of Lola's logo, and it was making sense that this would have been the base design if they didn't have a title sponsor. Okay. But the blue, orange, red, white thing, it was just too busy. And the orange and red thing, we had that with MasterCard. The glitch thing was part of the earlier MasterCard logo before they oversimplified. I feel like if they just gone with white and just negated the blue to very small parts of the car, it would have actually looked better than the Renault R29 and it would have been fairly decent. But no, MasterCard was very much the daddy of that business relationship. Then I'm going with the 2007 Red Bull Faces livery. I know, it was for a good cause and the intentions were noble. It was for charity. But the thing about this is that on TV, in books and guides, it just looks like a garbled Technicolor mess. The 2012 version was much better as it kept the base color of the Red Bull car of that year. But in 2007, for the most part, it was just pictures of faces. 30,000 faces uploaded onto a car. It's a technical marvel. I'm impressed they were able to do it, and I'm glad that they had that many supporters. But when you're looking at it on TV at home, it's just, it just looks like static to me. But if you get up close to it though, I'm pretty sure it looks really, really cool. If you'd actually contributed to it and you got up close, you can go like, oh, that's me! And that would have made it really, really special. Now we're going back to some more testing liveries, and the 2022 Alfa Romeo, and my God, my eyes! I don't know where to look. It just looks like static to me. It looks like that really tacky Photoshop cloud filter that many people in their teens tried to use to make it look like a really dark and brooding scene in just a few seconds, just on an entire car. I understand the reason why they went with this, because at the beginning of 2022, brand new regulations, you don't want to give away your secrets to any other teams that could be implemented before the first race, but you could have done it in a much smarter way, like the Red Bull designs, because those testing liveries have become famous. And heck, even Alfa Romeo had some really good testing liveries, which were very cute, very wholesome. That neon clover design they had one year, that was very cool, but why couldn't they have just done that again? But we got this mess, and they weren't really performing well at that test either, so it was just doubling down on the awful factor. Thankfully though, the actual 2022 livery was a gem. That very lush dark red with the classic Alfa Romeo font. Ooh, very, very nice. I think that was one of the best liveries of the season, having risen from the ashes of one of the worst. But hey, at least that never actually got to race, unlike the 2021 Alpine Castrol Special. Oh God, that green does not deserve to be there. It's actually adhering to the idea of blue and green shouldn't be seen without colour in between, in this case white and red, but even then that's far too close. Given the fact that the A521 is probably one of the modern classics of this generation, it's a gorgeous livery that will remain in my heart as one of the best liveries I've seen in years, but when you add some green to it, no. It was to celebrate Castrol's 100th anniversary, and I get that, that was really, really cool. But it could have been done in a much smarter way that wouldn't have added that big splosh of green, and you might argue that it was carried over for a couple of races, but that really should have just been a one-off, and it was a special type of livery that was lucky to get an extra outing. It really didn't deserve an outing, because you could say that Triple Crown livery was meant to be a one-off livery, but that got a stay of execution, so yeah, special livery. Not so special. So have you seen some one-off liveries in Formula 1 that you don't like and should be on this list? Comment below, I'd love to hear your thoughts.